Welcome, 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 everyone. This is Vanessa with Chat with Nessa, Investing in Your Future. Welcome this week to Miss Chereace Richards. Welcome, Chereace. This is a phenomenal woman. Welcome. And I'm excited because I've known her in a previous life, and we met up again recently, about a month ago. And I'm so excited. And I want to tell you about this phenomenal woman before we start this interview. Now, she is actually an entrepreneur, and she's the founder of the 21st Century Woman Community, network marketing million-dollar earner, and author of Faith Focused Action: The Journey to Becoming Who You Are. She is not only that, she's a mom, she's a wife, and guess what? She empowers women and individuals and families to strategize how to get out of debt, but more importantly, how to build that wealth and retire tax free. Also, she has also been featured in numerous magazines, numerous articles, and just to name a few: Washington Post magazine, Success from Home magazine, and she's a phenomenal woman because she's received numerous official citations, awards, recognition, including the Woman of Distinction and Leadership Award. Welcome, Chereace.
Woo! Excellent, girl. You did a phenomenal job on that.
I'm so happy. And then when I knew you back in my insurance days, we both do with that. I'm like, I didn't know any of this about you. I'm like, this woman got all this going on. And so we to run into each other again, nothing but God. That's how I view things. Nothing is by accident.
Absolutely. Well, you
Because
know what? I'm happy to be here because I knew about you because you were killing the game and breaking all records. And I was like, who is this Vanessa Gilbert? Where is she? I need to learn from this woman. So it truly is an honor to be on your podcast. So thank you for having me.
and to hear you speak when we spoke at that women's conference, I was like, oh, that's true. I know, Chereace. I'm like, it was powerful, and that's why I wanted to have you here to educate people, because what you have is a powerful tool that I think a lot of people are not educated on, right?
Mhm.
Eliminating debt while building wealth, and look, retiring tax free, that's powerful. So I want to get this interview started
All
because I
right.
really think you have a powerful message. And tell me about your life, though, prior to becoming an entrepreneur, financial literacy educator, and author. What was your life back in the day?
Back in the day. So first of all, I was a good old government worker. I always tell people, I did all the things, right? I went to college, I got the master's degree after undergrad, went into corporate America, and was laid off in corporate America. And that changed everything for me because I said, hold on, I cannot rely on corporate America for my livelihood. Um, so that's when I started this whole journey towards entrepreneurship. Before I went full time, I was working in the federal government as an IT project manager. And so did that for a number of years because my background is in IT, have a master's in IT management. So I was, good old government worker. And then I got that entrepreneurial bug and it changed everything. I got super excited about the possibility, and was blessed to get connected to the right company at the right time and made millions of dollars, walked away from my full-time job. And actually my experience with making the money and keeping my money, growing my money and building wealth is what got me here now educating other men and women on how they can do the same thing.
Yes, that's a powerful testimony. Now, when you started your business, what was the vision behind the 21st Century Woman?
So the whole vision was to really bring women together because I believe that we can do more together than we can do individually. That's number one. Number two, to really have that community of women where I could have support, where we could have support. Because a lot of times, when you are on this journey of entrepreneurship and you're a solopreneur and you're out there on your own, having highs and lows and facing obstacles and setbacks, you think that you're the only one, right? And I wanted to show women that you're not by yourself, you're not the only one. Let's be in this community together where we all can support each other. And ultimately, my goal is to help women to discover their God-given purpose so that they can serve and impact the world and ultimately live their ridiculously possible life.
Wow, wow. Now I know because I've read your phenomenal website. There's some components, three components to be a woman on transformation. So what does it take, and what are each component of being a woman of the 21st century mean, and why are they so important?
This is so important. I wrote a book about it. It was so important. Faith, focus, action. Those three components can change your life, take you to places outside of your comfort zone so that you can do amazing things. And so faith is all about having the belief that, you're created to do amazing things. And just like somebody else has gone before you and achieved great success in whatever field that you're in, you can do it too. You just have to believe that it's possible. The Bible says that anything is possible to them who believe. And so it's all about faith and belief that you were created to do good works. The second component is focus. I believe in being laser focused on those things that only you're called to do. And that's going to require some shedding of some people, some activities, you know, things that you may be doing now, but can be a distraction for where you're trying to go. Relationships that you may be in today that can be holding you back from, living your best life. And so you have to be laser focused. I tell women and people all the time, when I got started in my business, let's see, it was in 2006. So what is that? Almost 15 years ago, right? It was May of 2006. I got started in business, and I had to, get rid of a lot of things that I enjoyed doing. It's short-term sacrifices for the long-term gain. And a lot of times people don't want to give up anything. And I tell my sons today, you can't do this and that, right? I was like, my kids, when I got started, were 4 months and 6 months and 4 years old. So in addition to starting a full-time job, having a full-time job, starting a business, I had two small children, was a wife. Listen, I didn't have time for anything but those things. And so extracurricular activities and TV shows and, idle conversations with people that I enjoyed before, I just didn't have time for it. I had to laser in on those things that was going to get me from where I was to where I wanted to be. And I was able to do that, walk away from that full-time job in 2 years. And so again, it's short-term sacrifices for long-term gain. And then
Yes.
the last component is action. Like we have to take massive, consistent action if you're going to achieve that big goal. You got to do something every day. Every day you got to do something. I mean, you don't have to do everything, but you got to do some things, right? And so putting them all together, here's what I tell people. Listen, you can't have faith and say you're focused and then don't take no action. That ain't gonna work. Or you can't say, I believe, I got faith, and I'm doing stuff, but you're doing everything, so you are not focused. Or you can say, I'm focused, I'm doing the work, but you don't believe. And so there's a saying, an ounce of doubt and you're out.
Uh,
You have to have all three.
yes. And you know what's funny? Well, I have a couple streams of income, and what I know is we always say, without God in your business, you're out of business. So that's the faith part for me.
Absolutely.
And you know what? You're preaching to me right now about action because I have a long-term project I've been working on, and I put it down a while ago, and I'm supposed to pick it back up. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get to that. But this is, I'm like, okay, yeah, I hear you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that last action. Because
You're
some things you
welcome.
focus on what you're comfortable with, and some things you got to get out of that comfort zone and just complete that project that you know you're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so now I know you wrote your book in 2013, Faith Focused Action: The Journey to Become Who You Are. What was the vision you had before you wrote the book or as you wrote the book? And what's been your overall message over the years to your readers of the book?
Yeah, so my vision behind the book really was to share my story, like the journey that I was on. Because, a lot of people, they saw me, at the top and having success and winning awards and having the accolades, but they didn't really understand the struggle and what I had to go through. Like, I'm an introvert by nature. It took me years to figure out what my own voice was, right? It took me years to get comfortable with speaking in front of the room and overcoming my own fears and insecurities. And so, what I do in the book, my goal in the book was just walk through several chapters of the struggle, right? The journey that I had to go through to really find my own voice, be comfortable with who I was, realizing that even though I saw other examples of success, I couldn't do it the way they were doing it. I could take the principles and the work ethic, but I had to figure out my own voice if I was going to have lasting success. So in the book, it talks about running your own race, right? Really, being on that path. And it may take someone else, 5 months to get where you're trying to go. And it may take you, 5 years. I don't know, right? But you got to run your own race, because another thing I tell people in the book is that where you are is where you're supposed to be. And then when you learn what you need to learn there, then you can move on. But if we're trying to rush past maybe a critical moment, then what's going to happen is we're going to miss the lessons, right? And we're going to get to a place we're not prepared for, only to have a setback. And so, in the process of me kind of going through those stories and my own, process, I give the women and the reader an opportunity to really journal, their own thoughts and experiences that come up as they're reading what I had to go through and really grow through in those seasons.
Wow. And you know what? My mom was a minister for 40 years. So as she called it going through the process. If you skip the process, you're only going to stay in that situation longer. So don't fight the process. That's a
Right.
spiritual component to that. That is a spiritual component. Now I want to ask you though, can people still get your book, and where can they buy your book
They can
today?
get it right at my website,
Okay.
ChereaceRichard.com. Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure because your website will be listed. I just want to make sure they can buy it at the website. Okay, so I'll make sure I'll put that in the post. Now, your website is phenomenal, and you do have 3 areas of service that you offer to people as part of your business to change the income projection. Debt is a huge problem in America. We know that. The average family is very much underwater, okay, but you're a change agent, so you help people get out of debt, eliminate the debt, protect and build their legacy, and build financial freedom and generational wealth. So what are the services that you offer at ChereaceRichards.com, your business?
Yeah, so overall, it's all about helping people be healthy, wealthy, and wise in every area of their life. I speak on the importance of health, because if you don't have your health, right, then nothing else is going to matter, right? And I tell women, because our body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, right? If we're sick, if we are, struggling with lack of energy and we're unable to, move because we're sick, then we can't make impact in the world, right? But then the wealthy part is something I'm super passionate about, because as I mentioned earlier, God blessed us with wise counsel and information that we were blessed and fortunate to take advantage of, that helped us to, grow our money, to preserve our money, and then to expand our money. And a lot of people that look like us, they, talk about wanting to create generational wealth, but they don't know how to do it, right? And so the biggest reasons for that is, number one, we don't know. Like, that's the biggest thing. And so my number one goal is to educate individuals and families on the importance of, eliminating debt, right? Because here's the reality: if you owe someone else money, then that's money that you're unable to put back into your own family bank, into your own pot, into your own household to really grow and create that generational wealth that you want. But then, protecting your income, right? When we get to the basics of things, a lot of our people are uninsured and they're underinsured, right? And so if we just
Mhm.
focus on protecting your income if death were to occur prematurely for you or a loved one, or let's talk about even getting sick, right? If you have, my husband was diagnosed with cancer 5 years ago. Now he's healed, praise God for that. But if he wasn't properly insured, he wouldn't be able to get that much needed coverage today. And so I talk to people about, what does income protection look like? Let's move beyond just making sure I have enough money to bury me and that's it, because it's much more than that, right? I mean, I want
Mhm.
people to really think of this scenario, right? Imagine, it's a husband and wife, you have a family, so you have a couple kids, you've built this life based on two incomes, you have hopes and dreams for your children, for their future, right? And then someone gets sick and they die unexpectedly. I mean, think about that's happening for a lot of families with COVID 19, right? I mean, COVID has wiped out over 500,000 individuals that didn't plan. I mean, that I'm not going to say they didn't plan, but some may not have been prepared for that
Mhm.
loss of income. And let's think about the ones that were blessed to survive, but they're not able to go back to work because of the care that they need and the level of sickness that they experienced, right? And so you have that scenario where income is now removed from the household. That leaves a huge gap if you have not properly planned and made sure you had the sufficient coverage to replace that income. And so that's why we have to think beyond just I need at least 25,000 to bury me. If so, because I don't want, I just want enough to no, we got to get beyond that, because here's the thing. When you think about losing a loved one, right? Think about the pain and suffering, number one, and the grief that you have to go through if you're losing a spouse, right? You don't want to have to worry about having to go back to work the following week or 2 weeks because the bills are coming and you got to continue to pay them, right? And so that's a component. But what about all the hopes and the dreams, like the financial dreams that you had maybe for your children's education and some of the other things that you wanted to do? Life insurance can make sure that what you wanted to happen can actually happen even after you're gone.
Mhm.
So we have to make sure we're having these conversations and people are becoming aware of what does it look like to protect my income? How can I leverage life insurance? I can leverage life insurance to pay off debt.
Mhm.
Tell me more, right? And then, oh, by the way, did you know that a lot of wealthy families are able to pass on wealth from one generation to the next because of life insurance?
Yes. And you
Right?
know I know.
I know you know what I'm
Yes.
talking about. Right? That's why you said in your head, like, yes, it's important.
Yes. Mhm. And stop saying that, "Oh, I'm good, I'm good." You know that because, in our community, oh, you hear it. I've heard it. Oh, I'll try to talk to you about life insurance and the importance. Oh, I'm good. I'm good. But then I've had people since I've been in life insurance, insurance a couple years. Oh, I'm good. I'm good. And then that person's spouse passed away like 6 months later, and then I see a GoFundMe page.
That's what I'm
See,
saying.
And that's happened. So people need to really, I want to really, emphasize some things when I update this post, the importance of getting in touch with you because you just don't have that's a tool, but you have many other tools you use. You spoke about, can you talk about the concept of the family bank? I did not put this in the questions because I was so intrigued when you spoke about a month ago on the conference. Can you touch on that a little bit, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And so just think about leveraging your money in the same way that the banks do, right? Instead of going to the National Bank of Maryland, what about the National Bank of your family, the National Bank of Richards, right? The National Bank of Gilbert, right? And so what I do when I sit down with people is first identify what their goals are, right? What are you trying to accomplish short term, long term, right? And then number two, educate you on how the banks leverage your money and how you can leverage your money in the same way by redirecting inefficient dollars to starting up your own banks. Vanessa, what I realize is that so many people are spending money unknowingly, unnecessarily, and they don't realize that they're doing so. And with good intent, right? But is that the most effective use of your dollars? And so when I'm educating people on the power of building your family bank, I talk about, let's look at how you're spending your dollars today. And let's look at creating a more powerful vehicle where you can begin to leverage your money, where you can begin to make your money work as hard for you as you work for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the other
Yes.
thing is that if you have, speaking of banks, right? If you have your money sitting inside of a bank, you're losing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the banks give you what, a 0.5%, if that's on your money. Then they send you a form at the end of the year saying that you got to pay taxes on the pennies that you made. And the
Mm-hmm.
reality is that if inflation is 3%, but the banks are giving you 0.5% of your money, then your money is not even growing with inflation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got to scrap that thinking, right? Interrupt the patterns of how we were exposed, how we grew up, what we saw. And I just read this term today, right? First of all, we got to change the status quo. We don't have to adopt conventional thinking just because that's what our parents did, right?
Yes.
But we
Mm-hmm.
have to, so the status quo wasn't a term I learned. The term I learned was called creative destruction. Creative destruction. That is replacing the old with something new that's better. And here's the thing, you may not even know about it today. I know when I got exposed to it 10 years ago, I didn't know. But just because we don't know, this is what I tell Black people, our people. Just because you don't know does not mean it doesn't exist. Hello,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And just like a year ago, when the pandemic started, and as you know, I changed insurance companies, and then I got exposed to the foreign exchange market. So this is something that's brand new. It's different, but it's new, but it's a different form of investment as well to multiply your income. And one thing I learned is, your comfort zone is your broke zone. People need to think because your grandma did it, they did the best they could.
right,
That's what the knowledge that they had. But
right,
now we have, when you know better, you should do better. You get exposed to this knowledge. God puts people in your life to give you exposure to the knowledge. And that's one of the purposes of my chat show is every single week I have someone who has knowledge that everyone needs. And they're investing in the community to give you your power back because you have no power. You're financially bound. You're in debt. You have no financial freedom. Are you free to do God's purpose for your life? No, you are not. Until you're free, you can't
right.
even function in your purpose. So this is why I have people like you here to educate us about what we need to do. It's also your mind. One thing I've learned is a personal development mindset, and people have to shift from that old school, that old way. You're not going to do it if you don't reach out to the people that have this knowledge, and that's why I had you on here. When I heard you speak about, okay, all right, okay, the family bank, they got had to talk to this woman. She has knowledge. And this is something that community leaders like yourself, you're a community leader, you're doing a service to people in the community. This is what people need, especially in our community.
Yes.
Again, we haven't built generational wealth, but other people have with the tools and the something, but we don't reach out to each other either as a community. You have someone who has this knowledge, reach out and get this knowledge to change your life. So I'm just on my soapbox for a minute, but I just had
Say
to
it
say that.
again.
So
No, you have to
I
say
want people.
that again. Vanessa, that's it right there, right? Because people know what we
Mhm,
do, right? And when I tell people that I've worked with, that I may have a relationship with, and these are for those that's looking, it's like, what? I didn't know. Here's the thing, it's no judgment with me, right?
mhm.
Like you said, my goal is to educate and empower people to make better decisions with their money so that we can move away from owing other people and start paying ourselves, right? And so we all have our money story. We've all, like, I've made mistakes with my money over the years, so I ain't perfect. But my thing is, I come from a place of genuinely wanting to serve, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm not looking at it from no other, position or perspective, but to serve. And so for people that's listening to this that want to invest their money like you were talking about, right? We invest in Forex. When you did your presentation, I was like taking notes like, I didn't know about this. Because I'm new to it, right? And so connect with someone like you that has the information because it's all about creating multiple streams
Dreams
of
of
income
income.
in this
That's it.
season that we are in. We have to, it's an opportunity, it's a moment, and we have to get the information and we have to take action on it because pretty soon that the opportunity is going to be gone.
Yes, and I want people to know that when I put your website up under this posting, that they need to reach out to you, and it says to contact you. You can schedule an appointment with this lady one on one. Schedule an appointment with you to get this information and to get coached. And I think humility has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And I say that because another woman, part of the NAACP, Liz Johnson, was on my chat show 4 or 5 months ago, and she has a program called Strategic Housing. She created a nonprofit to help against predatory lending in the African American community to educate us about what really happens on these home loans. And she
Mhm.
deals with the whole housing. She's part of the NAACP, but that's her passion. So she has a nonprofit. And she was saying, you know what? I said, oh, I saw, because I do my research. I love to research. So I'm looking, I said, oh, I saw a contact form for homeowners who are in trouble during the pandemic. I said, what's the percentage of homeowners in our community that are reaching out to you who are really in trouble with their mortgage? There's a lot of predatory lending going on. That was the whole show 6 months ago. She said, do you know that that form is there? We have no judgment. We're here to help you. And I don't get people to even click on the form to contact me because they're embarrassed if they're upside down on their mortgage. They're embarrassed about the financial situation they find themselves in. I said, but you know what? It's best to be humble and get whole through the help God is giving you than to sit there with pride and not reach out to the person. And this is the purpose of this platform
Right.
that God gave me to say these are the women and a few men. I've had some men too who are in the community. They have an answer for you. They're here to serve you. They have something God gave them to give to you, and you don't even have the pride. The
That's what
pride.
it is.
And
That's
she
what
said that to me. She said, "You know me percentages in Prince George's County, Maryland alone. People rather go. I didn't even know they had a tent community where people lost their houses. They go sleep in a tent." And she said they won't go to this website. I'm nonprofit. I'm here to help you. I have the legal counsel on staff, and that form very rarely gets filled out. It's a help contact form. So the same thing, I'm saying this for a reason. Look, this Mrs. Richards has the answer. So when I put this website up here, okay, like I do week after week for every single guest, reach out to these phenomenal people to get their services. I'm being serious because I'm like, this is the answer for you to
yes.
invest in your future. That's the name. Chatwood, invest in your future. You can't do that if you don't get free, if you don't get educated. And that's the
Mhm.
purpose. I hope, because I know that they can make an appointment with you. And I always encourage people to reach out to the guests that are on this platform. That's the purpose of the platform, for you to
Right.
get educated and get free. So, again, I just had to say that because I
No,
just want
I'm
people
glad
to
that you
really
did
reach
that.
out, because
Yeah.
it's really, I think people have a lot of pride. So, that leads to my next question, though.
Okay.
What are some of the key misperceptions you feel people have regarding financial management and building wealth? People have their own, I got this, I'm good, I have a budget. I know you deal with all of it. So, what do you feel like are the key misperceptions people have?
I think people think it's too much, right? They think that let me get my finances together so I can have the money to start, right? And that is a big misconception because you start where you are with what you have. And like the proverb says, a journey to 1,000 miles begins with a single step, right? And
Mm,
so that's one of the first things people think, that they don't have the money. I think a lot of people's pride get in the way, so they're afraid because of the mistakes that they made. And again, we got to get all of that out of the way. Um, Aside from not having the money, I mean, I guess not being able to afford it is another one too, right? Because one of the things that I found is that people, they do have a lot of debt, especially when it comes to student loan debt. Like, that's one of the biggest things. Um, and so they think that I can't afford anything else. And again, for me, I tell people my goal is to find ways that you are spending your money unknowingly, unnecessarily, and help you to redirect inefficient dollars. um, I mean, I think those are the biggest things. I'm trying to think of some of the other things I've heard. I think those are the biggest things for getting the information, because having a conversation with me is all about getting information. Knowledge is power, but only when we put it to use. And so what I find is that people, this could be a perception too. People think they know, but they have no idea, right? And so it's
mhm.
like, people think that, again, good intentions. I don't want to discredit any, ways that people may be saving and planning for the future. But my thing is there a better way to do it? And so a lot of people are kind of shut off from the possibilities of there being a better way. And a
Mhm.
lot of people don't really understand how money works. Again, we know a lot about a lot of things, but when it comes to money, we simply don't know. And I mean, I don't know everything. I don't know everything, but I do know something, and I believe that what I know can impact individuals, and they can impact families. And so I tell people my goal in the beginning is to educate and empower you to make better decisions, whether it's with me or not. You got new information, so it's up to you to determine what you can do with it.
Yes, and God gives everybody a piece of the platform, because there's so many pieces to financial literacy, and you have two or three components of that. And I think my goal is, because I know so many people in the financial literacy world. Another good friend of mine I met a couple months ago, Kadreen Dixon. She has a whole 20 plus years in financial management. She has her own, similar to you, but very different. I would love to put together a whole panel or do a workshop. And I'm moderating. I'm not talking about my little other stuff. And I would love to put the people I've met this past year, who have these powerful, each one of you have this powerful platform, and each piece of the pie is different. And I'm really going to pray about that, putting that together for this spring, where it's just a whole, like a couple hour conversation, a panel discussion, and each lady presents what they have, just a financial literacy type workshop where people can, register. So I'm going to pray about that, because I really think that's really something that's key.
Yeah.
Education is everything, but start reaching out and dropping the pride is the first step. So I
Hello.
want to, that's the key. But what are you have any upcoming business projects for 2021? I wonder, you have any upcoming new product rise that we should know about?
So I am planning to do a virtual event on March 31st. This is March, it's Women's History Month. And, investing in your future, taking control over your financial future is my goal to educate and empower. So I'm going to do a virtual session. It's going to be 2 hours online for women to come and get the information, right? And like you said, like this is one component of the overall strategy for your financial well-being. And so that's the next thing that's coming up for me on March 31st. But other than that, my goal is to tell people I'm here. Get it.
Now, on your website, will they be able to? Is there a link yet on the website to register, or will that be a separate? Would it be a link on the website to register for the conference?
Yeah, it will be a link on the website.
Okay.
And then I'll be posting it on all my social media pages as well.
Okay. So when I see it, I belong to so many different women's groups. If you tag me, I'm going to forward it to. I have several different women's groups I belong to on social media. So I want to make sure I'm aware of that, so I can make sure people know about the event.
Thank you. Yep, I'll be sure to tag you.
Okay, that's your face. It didn't scrunch up, but you don't know what God got, girl. You might have another book that you about to. I asked about a book. Once you're an author, sometimes people do write a second book, Chereace. I mean, come on. Doesn't mean you're not. It might be years apart, but doesn't mean you're not going to write another one. That's just all I'm saying. I'm not prophetic. I'm just saying. So
Okay.
you
Okay.
might have another one. I'm just asking. You're not planning one, so that's the announcement. Okay, not right now.
I'm not planning that right now.
Okay.
My big goal this year is really to help 100 families to protect their income, eliminate their debt, and create a legacy. Like that's my big
Yes.
goal for 2021. So that's what I'm laser focused. Remember, faith.
Yes, I know you got your focus. I
That's
got
what I'm
you.
laser focused on in
For
2021.
2021, but we don't know what 2022 and
No,
2023 is going to bring. So
we don't
my
know.
last and final question. I've already said this. People need to reach out to you because you have so many services you provide at ChereaceRichards.com, and they can. I'm excited about that project for the conference on the 31st to educate people. That
Yeah.
leads right up to what I was thinking, education. So why do you feel, as a final question, people need to really reach out to you, utilize your services that are listening? And we already know how they can reach you. Your website, Chereace Richards, will be posted. He's the person who's like, okay, I know I need some help. I know things have not been working. And whatever, why you keep doing the same thing that doesn't work? If it's broken, it's broken. You got to fix it by changing it. But what's your final message to anyone listening right now? Why they should reach out to you for your phenomenal services?
Thank you, Vanessa. I truly appreciate that. I would tell people this is the year to take control over your financial future. I mean, that's the name of the event on March 31st. With a trusted professional, even if it's to bounce an idea off, even if it's to inquire, to make sure whether or not you're on the right path right now, or to shift a little bit to get on a better path, to taking control over your financial future, to creating a solid plan. Ultimately, I want to do for the listeners that are on this podcast, YouTube, wherever they're listening, right, to help you create a plan. Like I've helped families. I've seen the reaction of someone that may be stressed out, carrying the weight of debt on their shoulder, trying to figure out how can I move from living paycheck to paycheck, working overtime so they can reallocate those dollars to paying off bills, knowing deep down inside they want to do something fun, take a vacation, buy something for themselves or for their children, right? And having the opportunity to provide them with some information, them take action on it, and the result being a solid plan for moving them towards their ultimate goal of financial freedom is the best feeling in the world, to see that relief knowing that I may not be where I want to be, but I'm on my way there because now I have a solid plan is one of the best feelings in the world. And so I can help you create a plan for your future, for your financial well being, where you can take control over your financial future this year, right now. Don't try to figure it out yourself because this is what I will say in closing. If you had all the answers, then right, you would, and we don't know everything, right? So invite me in to just, have a conversation, shed some light on some concepts that can change your life like it did mine 10 years ago.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. And her website, ChereaceRichards.com, will be listed right under this broadcast. And she's on YouTube and she will be podcasted as well. So reach out to this phenomenal woman. I know the services she provides. I've heard her speak the concepts that got her financially free. She's just trying to help you do the same thing. So reach out. And Chereace, thank you for taking your time. I know you're very busy. You have a lot going on. So thank you. And I'm so glad that God reconnected our paths. The world is truly a
Yes,
small place.
it sure is. And Vanessa, I just want to say thank you, not just for having me, but for having this platform, right? It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of courage to, do something like this every single week for months, right? You're been doing this for 7, 8 months.
September, I think I started this. Yeah.
Yeah, that it takes a lot of work, a lot of courage, but it's so needed a platform like this where people can come and get the information and connect it to people for free. So
Hmm.
I pray that your efforts continue to grow beyond. Listen, you already the bomb.com. I know what you do, right? And so I just pray that you just continue to be blessed because of the blessed work that you're doing with this platform. So thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it.
I appreciate it. And I really want to, I will be attending March 31st myself. And remember, reach out, make an appointment with her, get your consultation. And I'm excited about your conference on the virtual event that you're going to educate the world on March 31st. So I'll make sure that her information is there. But look, reach out because you can change your life with the information that this woman has. She's already financially free. She's just trying to give you the equation that helped her live her best life so you can live yours. So I'll see you next Thursday at 6 o'clock. This is Nessa with Chat and Nessa. And thank you, Miss Richards, for being a guest on Chat with Nessa. Appreciate you.
Thank you.